Guys, hello and welcome. My name is Beak and I'm the co-founder and co-owner of Ruger in Manchester. This is our mini-series that we're doing with Bugsy. As you can see, we are all branded up, and hang on a minute, I just need my little towel. My little Bugsy towel. Right, let's get that branding right in. Okay, so obviously we are going to talk today a little bit about Bugsy and our relationship and how it started. Now, the world-renowned and world-known sharing site, the monster that is Barbershop Connect, we were working with them in New York City, and that's when Bugsy was first introduced to me. Now, we've always been a company and a brand that wants to innovate and do something different, and is to be the leader and not the follower. So we wanted to be a company that did something that everybody else doesn't do. And the first being a barbershop that took appointments rather than being a walk-in barbershop. Now, obviously standing out from the crowd and doing something before other people's do was always been a big thing of ours. And it was presented to me an opportunity to meet the guys from Bugsy. We wanted to have a shop that was appointments only. We wanted that edge of professionalism. And again, we wanted to push things further, and we wanted to evolve. We wanted to become better. We wanted people to respect our time. We wanted to have allocated times for appointments. And in return, we would charge that little bit more, meaning that we could spend an allocated time with each one of our clients and give them the best possible service. We were introduced to Bugsy. We liked their formula. We liked their ethics. We liked the morale. We liked everything about them, and we went with it. And it's the best thing that we've ever done. So, whilst I talk about Bugsy, I'm also going to be doing a little demonstration on Josh here, my amazing model. And what we've done is, you can see that we've actually pre-cut the top, and we've already styled him a little sexy mullet. Now, whenever it comes to someone's hair, we tend to think of all of the factors that affect the haircut. Now, in this particular occasion, this circumstance, Josh has a band, the Hara. Check him out on Instagram at the H-A-R-A, the Hara band. The Hara band. And that just means that Josh can have whatever haircut he wants. So right now, he's having a mullet because he can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate exactly how I would introduce the fade on this side. So it's just a little quick fade demonstration, just because everyone loves a little demo and everyone loves a fade. So in terms of Bugsy, a couple of the new features that we have on there is Boost. Now, if you're anything like us and we're just kind of off the beaten track, we are off a main road. Now, we like people to come to us because they come to us, they've heard about us. Word of mouth is probably the strongest recommendation that you can get. Now, we rely solely on word of mouth and things like social media. We do not have a walking or a passing trade. Now, the Boost facility obviously generates more income and generates more clients by contacting people who are in the area, which is incredible technology. And we've noticed probably about anything between a 5 to 7% increase in clients that are coming in that actually weren't our clients before. And that was like past reading. So I would imagine at this point now, we're probably around the 10 and 12% mark where we have an increase in clientele from the surrounding area, the people who weren't originally our clients, which is phenomenal really. So the Boost facility is actually increasing our clientele and increasing our revenue. Okay, so while I start talking, I'm going to start off now with a little bit of a fade demonstration. So in order to get to the area, I'm actually going to take a clip quite high just above the recession area or the corners of Josh's head, and I'm just going to isolate the area in which I'll introduce my fading. So I'm going to go in with 3 lines to start with, okay? I'm going to go in with a guideline to start. My guideline is going to be on a 1.5 guard open. So 1.5 guard open, using the wall seniors. Making sure that my work area is nice and clean and tidy. I always tend to adopt a very robotic and almost more mechanical movement when I'm doing my clipper work. And this just allows me to make sure that my work is completely consistent. From if my movement is exactly the same here as exactly the same here, I'm going to produce a consistent look. So that runs through with every one of my lines. So my first is a guideline and a 1.5 guard open, and the next will be a baseline of a 0. I'll work underneath the 0 with a balding clipper and a foil shaver, and then my next line will be the midline. So I'll have a guide, which is the highest, a base, which is the lowest, mid in between, and then I have just 2 lines to take out. Nice and simple, nice and easy, let's go. So again, adopting that mechanical and almost robotic movement, starting at the temple and committing each time to that swipe, and just following that arch all the way round down to the back of the head. Now, I wouldn't worry too much around this area, because we want to exaggerate that kind of mulleted look. We want it a little bit more exaggerative, we want it a little bit more dramatic, and with Josh, the crazier the better. It's a very, very forgiving style and a very, very forgiving haircut. Okay, so again, nice and simple, nice and easy. My first guideline is a 1.5 guard open. Now I'm going to go to a 0. So just above the ear at the temple, then moving the ear out the way, just opening up your work area. Exactly the same adoption of the mechanical movements, very robotic, short, sharp movements. So just make sure that's nice and clean. And just making sure that you move around with your clipper work. Obviously, for demonstration's sake, I'm not going to stand in the way of the camera, so I'm just going to move Josh's head around a little bit now. So we've gone 1.5 guard open, 0. Now we go in between the 2 with a 0.5. Now you can see quite visibly there you can distinguish the differences in length from the 0 to the 0.5. So in order to close that gap or to erase that little shadow or line that's left, we're just going to go from the 0.5 to a 0.25 and just very, very gently in between that line, we're going to erase it. So while I work on that, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about in regards to Bugsy, the app itself, and again our relationship with it. Now, when we very first started working with Bugsy, there was a very, very uncertain transitional period where we were unsure about our clients and the people that obviously used it within the shop, and we were a little bit worried. Now, making that transition from walk-ins to bookings, it couldn't have been made any easier by Bugsy, and everything like making sure that we collected all of the client details. It allowed us then to kind of project into the future and see how busy we were going to be, and if we thought that we were going to have a quiet week, it was easier for people then to kind of book time off. The entire app itself has just made our lives so much easier, and as time has gone on, like I remember the very, very first app that we downloaded, and the way that it looked then to the way that it looks now, and all the different facilities you have on it now, you can see that there's so much growth and potential with it also. Okay, so just going back to the fading work, I'm still on my 0.25, and again I'm just working on that line using the very, very corner of the clipper just to make sure that we can take that line out, and there's 0 shadowing, 0 line work. Now, as we all know, times have been extremely uncertain and extremely testing at the moment. The industry has taken a massive, massive downfall. Now, everybody went back into work after lockdown, raring to go, and extremely excited to be back in work, and so were our clients. That lasted for a couple of weeks, and the entire industry took a massive, massive dip, which is extremely strange, and I don't think that anybody could have predicted. Now, when we use tools such as Boost, obviously, this is generating more and more people coming into the salon. Now, that's your responsibility. So it's Bugsy's responsibility to make sure that the people come into the door. They are bringing new people in and getting new clients sat on your chair and in front of your mirror. Once that job's been done, then it's your responsibility. You have to make sure that you give people an amazing service, create a very, very nice atmosphere. The environment has to be extremely welcoming. You give them a service that they do not forget and they rebook. Now, this is something that we tell all of our staff, all of our team members constantly. It's very, very important that you make sure that we have repeat clientele constantly. So when somebody is finished with their haircut and you show them the back of the hair with the mirror and you ask them what they think, obviously 99.9999 times out of 100, you are going to get a very, very positive response. Now, if someone likes it that much, then it's at that point then you suggest that they book their next appointment. That way, your turnover stays constant, your clientele is consistent, and you're making sure that people are booking back in. We're pushing that client retention. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back in now with my detailers, and I'm gonna introduce some nice sharp lines on the edges and take all of the outline a little bit shorter. These are very, very close little detailers, and I would actually use these as a balding clipper. And Josh's little brother Jake sat over there right now. Jake, how old are you? 13, and they've just taken his mustache clean off. That's how sharp they are. You can't see him right now, but he's extremely red, very embarrassed, and he looks like he's about to kick off. You alright there, Jake?
Fine.
He's fine. He's a teenager, he's a really teenager. Okay, so we use the Wow Cordless Detailer for extreme precision and extremely close. I would use these as my balding clipper, and I will make sure that I use a lot harder pressure lower down, release the pressure as I get up towards my zero area, but making sure that the hair is short enough to warrant using the a foil shaver around the hairline. So now we move on to a half guard, and I was teaching this weekend and lost my black one, so now I'm back to the old school with the green. So I start off with the guard open and then go to a guard closed in very, very close succession. So again, harder pressure to start with, release the pressure as I push that line a little bit further up. And then in close succession, close the guard, so we are a 0.5 guard close now. And just eradicate that little line that we did with the 0.5. Now you can see that the head has a very, very strong contour around the sides of the head, where the parietals meet the corners of the head and the top of the head. So while we're on this contour, it's so much easier just to use the very, very corner of the clipper rather than using the full length of the blade. So again, a lot more detailed work just by using the very, very corner. They sound like they're about to die, so let's go back to the seniors. That's more like it. So now with a bit more conviction and a bit more commitment, we're just gonna try and transition that 0.5 up into my 1.5 guard open, which we won't fully do, but we're just going to try and chamfer that in as much as possible, and then just for a tiny little bit of refining and a little bit more detail, we're just going to use the one open and just really, really smoothen that transition down. And then we're going to finish on a little bit of clipper over comb just to make sure that our work is extremely smooth. And we have, I mean, obviously you can see that we very much undercut Josh's mullet, but I still want this to blend in seamlessly. So even having an undercut, I want to make sure that the hair that comes over doesn't have this bulk underneath, and the undercut is extremely visible. We're making sure that it's very, very much an exaggerated cut. Okay, so we'll just do a little bit of clipper over comb. Okay, pull the hair down and quick that we want to work on. Use a wide tooth comb underneath this section, and we're using this comb now as our guard. As we push the spine of the comb towards the scalp, pull the teeth out towards you, and then what protrudes through the comb is what gets taken off. When we take that off, what gets left is the shape that we're after, and obviously we're blending in our lowest point up to the hair on top or our highest point. Okay, now we're going to strengthen those lines back in now. We're just going to go in, back again with the detail of using the very, very corner of the clippers. Can you see there? Yes, you can. Using the very, very corner of the clippers and just making sure that we have a nice, strong arch and nice and clean into the temples. Just make sure that all of the neck is nice and clear too. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my extremely quick, very brief, very, very detailed and effective skin fade formula. We work on 3 lines. We work on a guideline, a baseline, a midline. We take out the guideline with clipper over comb. We take out the baseline with a 0.5 and a 0.25. And then that last line that we create with the midline, we flick out with a half guard. Open first, then closed. Okay, so I'm just going to release that hair from the clips. Just pop them right there. And you can see obviously that the hair has almost manipulated ever so slightly by having the grips in, which I don't mind. That's completely fine, because as soon as we add a little bit of product, it's actually going to take that away. If I wanted to, I could just wet the hair down a little bit, which would return it into its natural state. We could just add a little bit more heat, and then we could, again, apply a little bit more heat and manipulate into the position we want it, but I think it just exaggerates that disconnection. So we're just going to add a little bit of the Ruger volumizing powder. As the hair is dry, we're just going to lift the mullet up at the back and just allow some of the powder to work to the root. If we want that root lift, then it's essential that we get some of the powder towards the root rather than just the ends of the hair. Now we use a little bit of the Ruger Essential. I'll just open that up. So as I start to arrange this now, again, I'm just going to talk to you about Buxy. Okay, so one of the beauties of Buxy is the fact that everybody in our salon has access to it, which means if they are sick, if they are ill, if they're having a day off, if they need to communicate with any of our clients, they can do so. So as a business owner, it's quite difficult for me to communicate with everyone every single day. And there have been a lot of occasions where our team will contact me and say, I can't come in, please, can we rearrange all of my clients? Now it's quite simple because they can go on and do that themselves. Not only do your clients have full responsibility over their booking, but then so do your employees. So it's very, very easy for your employee to go on if they wanted to book some time out and do so. If they have any jobs that they need to do during the day, if they want to take a dinner break, which we know isn't very often in our industry, but if for some reason that they wanted to have that time off, they have got the power to do so. The team are doing really, really well at the moment. Obviously, having come back from lockdown, I think everyone needed that time just to kind of reflect, and they had plenty of time to reflect. I think everybody had plenty of time to reflect, and they've come back in motivated, ready, promoting themselves using the different tools again that are also on Buxy. There are a number of marketing tools. We always try and encourage people to leave a review. And another amazing facility that we can do when we do the reviews is by sharing them on social media, which means that you can actually create like a little a post which goes straight up there on your stories, and people can see exactly how well you're doing, and what they're crediting you for, which is amazing really as well. I think recommendations is the best way of creating new clientele. And again, like we said earlier on, word of mouth now, if people go on and making these really, really nice reviews about you, then social media is the best place to share it. Okay, so I'm just gonna organize fringe down for Josh. I'm just gonna fix his hair into position with a little bit of hairspray, and we are good to go. I have forgotten to change hands actually when I'm using my hairspray, because as you can see, I took a little nibble from my scissors today. So as I'm firing over hairspray, I'm actually firing all over my finger, which looks like the Grand Canyon. And there we have it. But guys, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to me about Bugsy and my little fade demonstration here on Josh. I am more than happy to speak to anyone in regards to the booking at Bugsy, which we believe in immensely. If anyone wants to speak to me on social media, please do drop me a message, and obviously I'll get back to whenever I can. But guys, you've been amazing. Thank you. See you later. Bye.